am reading and watching Lord of the Rings for my very first time. Here is my update after finishing The Hobbit. Where I left off in my last video was they were at the edge of the Mirkwood Forest. Gandalf was just barely leaving. All the dwarves were freaking out. Bilbo was freaking out. They had to go forward on their own. This entire Mirkwood Forest scene was wild the entire time. I knew it was going to get crazy, especially because I'd had a few people tell me that the Mirkwood Forest adventure, can't remember how many chapters it is their favorite part of the book. And I can see why, because it is so packed full of all of the things. When the spiders tied up all the dwarves and Bilbo had to figure out a way to get them out by himself, I would really like to say that I'd be brave enough to help people that I've only known for a couple of months, but there would be questions in my mind. There would be a lot of hesitation. So I gave major props to Bilbo for being, he wasn't fearless. Obviously, he was afraid, but he did it and he pulled it off. Bilbo immediately became my favorite character because of that scene. Before it was Gandalf, I very quickly switched to Bilbo all the way up here because of that scene. Thorin gets captured by the elves. Eventually, everyone else gets captured by the elves. And I'm thinking, okay, obviously Bilbo's going to get them out at some point, but how in the world is he going to pull this off? Our guy had to literally just stay invisible for weeks. And I can't imagine how lonely that probably was, having all of your friends in this dungeon. Gandalf is who knows where. He has no idea the danger that everyone is in. You're just invisible, surviving off of stolen bread. I felt for him in those chapters. Eventually, he gets them out on the night of a party, shoves them all into wine barrels, and throws them in the river. This was again one of those moments where I thought, could I have done this? As someone with major claustrophobia, I don't know if I could have agreed to doing it. And so, again, I gave major props to everyone involved. I gave props to all the dwarves that made it through that, because that was awful. My theory at this point in the story was I didn't think there was going to be a treasure at the end. I thought that they were going to get there and for some reason all the treasure was going to be gone, or they were going to be deceived by someone thinking it was going to, like, I didn't think there was going to be a treasure. And so at this point in the story, I was thinking, wow, they are going through a lot. Mirkwood Forest getting captured, all this travel, goblins, wargs, getting shoved into barrels, going down the river for nothing. I'm really glad I was proved wrong, because that would have been truly devastating for them to have gone through all of that for no treasure. Back to the story, they finally got out of the barrels, poor guys, hung out in the lake town for a while. I want to say it's called Esgaroth, but I cannot remember. Like I said in the last video, I'm trying really hard to remember all the names, and I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job, but if Esgaroth is wrong, then I'm going to be really embarrassed. They hung out there for a while, ended up getting transport to the Lonely Mountain. They finally got to the mountain, and then it was just trying so hard to find the entrance for a really long time. Eventually, they find the door, and this is the one part in the book that was just a teeny bit lost on me, is I am not exactly sure how they opened it. Maybe I understood it. I'm not really sure. I know it had to do with the moon runes, and I'm assuming because they waited a long time and the certain moon cycle that was going on somehow helped open the door. Maybe someone in the comments can help explain exactly what happened in that part to me, because I'm not sure I fully understand it. Probably one of the sweetest dwarf moments that we saw there was a lot. There were so many sweet dwarf moments between them and Bilbo, but probably one of the cutest ones was no one else volunteered to go down the hallway to the treasure with Bilbo, but Balin said, "Here, I'll go with you for a little ways so you're not alone." And then he walked down with him down the hallway so that he wasn't completely alone going down there, and I thought it was really cute. Then things got super crazy because I was proved wrong with my earlier theory. There was a treasure, and it was a shit ton of treasure, so that was a fun little surprise. Also, Smog can talk. I did not think he would be like this intelligent creature. I thought he was going to be just a big dumb dragon. Bilbo stole a cup, take back up to the group. They were all super hyped, as one would be, when they figured out that their treasure is down there. And then Smog started mugging everything up. He was super pissed about this cup. He destroyed the mountainside. The dwarves and Bilbo had to all hide inside of the mountain. They were camped out there for a little bit. And then Smog went and tried to murk up the lake town, which was a huge mistake for him. He ended up getting shot in his one teeny tiny little Achilles heel. I really like the Bard character. I was kind of bummed that we didn't get to see more of him. I'm hoping when I watch the movie that they portray him well, because I really liked his character, actually. He killed Smog, and then I was like, cool, end of story, treasure's there, everyone's happy. I was very wrong, obviously. All of you know what happens next. Everyone realized, oh, the treasure is not guarded by the dragon anymore. Everyone and their dog started hiking up to the mountain to get the treasure. And I thought, well, shit, what are the dwarves going to do? Because there's not that many of them. And they can't hold up against an entire elven army, human army. Then we get to Thorin being a little bitch about his treasure. This bothered me so bad because the people of the lake town housed them for like a week, clothed them, fed them, nursed them back to health after they were shoved in barrels for like a day or two. They were so hyped about them being in their town. And then Thorin is like, you know what? I don't really care that you killed the dragon. I don't really care that your town was destroyed. I don't really care that you guys were kind to me in a time of need. I'm gonna keep this treasure and you can go fuck yourselves. My respect for him in that moment plummeted. So when Bilbo, with his little heart of gold, snuck out in the dead of night to go give the stone to the Elven King and to Bard, I was cheering him on from the sidelines. He is so sweet. He just wanted everyone to get along. I knew that it was going to go terribly with Thorin when he found out, but I was still really happy that Bilbo did it. So the dwarf Dane, I can't remember what his relation was to Thorin. I want to say a cousin, maybe, or a nephew. His army comes up to aid Thorin, and they basically meet head to head with the elven army and the human army, and they're about to slaughter each other in the name of treasure. And then all of a sudden, the goblins and the wargs come out of the woodwork and are about to mug up everybody. So they put aside their differences and said, you know what, we all fucking hate the wargs and we hate the goblins. So I was really happy that they teamed up together. Things were kind of up and down for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it seemed like they actually weren't doing so hot. And then the Eagles came in, and I said, hell yeah, I missed the Eagles. I was hoping we were going to see them again. I was so hyped to see them at the end, even though we didn't really get to chat with them again. I loved that they came in to save the day. Bilbo ended up getting hit in the head with a rock, and he was wearing the ring at the time, which was really, really unfortunate. So no one could find him while he was unconscious. I think he even says in the book that that's a huge downside of the ring, and I agree. That's pretty terrible. He ends up being able to go see Thorin on his deathbed, and they made amends, which was really sweet. I'm glad that Thorin wasn't a complete bonehead in his final moments. And I will say, probably the most devastating piece of news in this entire book is that Fili and Kili died. I think the exact quote was, they died defending him with shield and body because he was their mother's elder brother. I'm not joking when I say I had to put my book down for a second and I just kind of sat there because I loved those two characters so much, and then to all of a sudden just have Tolkien say, yep, they actually died. As an afterthought, I was a little upset. So going off of that thought of being emotional over Fili and Kili, why in the world was I so emotional at the end of a 250-page book? This is a short book. I should not be this heavily invested in these characters and this story when it was this many pages. I have read book series that were 6-7 books long, and each one was like 500 to 1,000 pages long. and it never got me to cry. I was fighting tears the entire last chapter or two of The Hobbit. I would like someone to explain to me why. I don't know how it is possible to be this invested in characters that aren't real in such a short amount of time.